Chapter 49. Get the hell down. As Lin Feng had predicted, Lan Feng won against Wen Zhang almost effortlessly even though he had reached a higher layer than her. This was because of her overpowering spirit. Since the very beginning, Lan Feng had only used one skill, Divine Punch. But in comparison with that of Lan Chen, Lan Feng's skills were infinitely more powerful. Her force had a earth-shattering power and each strike was extremely heavy. Each time Lan Feng carried out an attack, it made Wen Zhang step back a few meters. At some point, he had been shaking so much from receiving the strike that he could not defend, and the following strike had severely injured him so he could no longer fight. He had no choice but to give up. Lan Feng is so strong. She's the Lan clan's princess. It's not surprising that she's extraordinary. Nobody can compete with her. Many people were filled with emotion when they saw how strong and beautiful Lan Feng was. They had the feeling that she was invincible. They were filled with admiration and worship. Not only was Lan Feng extremely beautiful but she was also extremely talented. Many people wished they had the same innate gifts as Lan Feng. They were very excited to see how she would develop and what other powers she would show in the future. The second battle was about to begin. Lin Feng was going to fight against Chu Lan. The crowd could no longer contain their excitement, and many were cheering. Even though the battle was probably not going to be as spectacular as the one they had just watched, it should also be quite intense. Besides, they didn't know how strong Duo Ming really was and were wondering if he could really defeat Chu Lan. Lin Feng and Chu Lan were looking at each other and Chu Lan had a smile on her face. I do not need to fight any longer in this tournament, I surrender this battle. The crowd was astonished when they heard the word, surrender. Chu Lan had played a role in the organization of the annual tournament, she had contributed in selecting who would join and now that she had to fight Duo Ming, she had given up. Could it be that Duo Ming and Chu Lan have already fought before and that Chu Lan knows that she can't defeat Duo Ming? Wondered the whole crowd lost in confusion. They were trying to guess what was really going on as they really couldn't clearly understand the situation in front of their eyes. Alright, nothing can be done. Let's move to the next battle, said the old man indifferently. For the last battle, the 3 remaining participants will step onto the main stage. The last one remaining on stage will be the winner. Lin Feng was stupefied. He had thought that the old man would make him and Lin Qian fight first and that there then would be a final battle. He wouldn't have thought that all of them would be fighting each other at the same time in a free-for-all fight. But as before, Lin Feng went back onto the main stage and walked towards the other participants, Lin Feng and Lin Qian, who had just come up onto the main stage as well. This decisive battle, let's try and guess who is going to win. It should be Lan Feng. She's extremely powerful and has a golden divine arm spirit. She's almost invincible. Lin Qian and Duo Ming shouldn't be able to compete with her. I don't know what to think. Lin Qian hasn't used all her strength, so it is impossible to judge. She hasn't even released her spirit yet. Do you know even what spirit Lin Qian possesses? I agree, with her universal ice and fire spirit. She's incredibly strong. I actually think that the one who has the biggest potential to win is Lin Qian. Everybody was giving their own opinion about who was going to win or lose. All of them thought that either Lin Qian or Lan Feng would win. Nobody thought Lin Feng had a chance to win. Even if Lin Feng was now regarded as being extremely strong, the crowd still thought that there were only 2 people who had a chance to win within the 3 remaining participants. 2 amazing yet arrogant female cultivators from Yangzhou City, Lan Feng and Lin Qian. The contrast between them and the strange masked young boy was too great for anyone to attach any importance to him. The 3 participants were on the stage, each of them standing in one corner of the stage, but Lan Feng was staring at Lin Qian since the beginning. Lin Qian was also continuously staring at Lan Feng. They were staring at each other as if they were fighting a one-on-one battle. It seemed like they had forgotten about Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at the 2 girls and smiled deep in his heart. They both wanted to kill him, but at that moment, they didn't even know his real identity and were completely ignoring him. Lan Feng, you will regret what you made me go through on that night. And you, Lin Qian, you made me and my father leave the clan, you wanted to kill me and my dad. The time for revenge is slowly approaching, thought Lin Feng. In that cold and cruel world, Lin Feng particularly appreciated and cherished the tenderness and affection that he received. Any hostility would also be engraved in his memories. In this world, one could only rely on themselves. After a while, Lan Feng's attention was finally drawn away from Lin Qian. She had an arrogant smile on her face. You're quite strong, if you wish, you can join my clan, the Lan clan. Concerning everything that you just did, well, I could forget everything. Besides, I can also personally help you practice cultivation once in a while. Lan Feng had a huge smile on her face. She unconsciously looked utterly arrogant, she didn't do it on purpose, but could not hide the arrogance which had been engraved into her soul. Concerning the thing that had happened a moment ago and that she could forgive, she was obviously talking about the fact that Lin Feng had killed Lan Chen. You want to help me practice cultivation? Murmured Lin Feng. The girl, who thought she was the best in the world, wasn't only half arrogant, she was really completely arrogant down to the last fiber of her being, as expected. You are listening to Peerless Martial God audio on light novel Aloud. Indeed, I, personally, can help you practice cultivation, said Na Lan Feng, who didn't know what Lin Feng really meant. She even thought that Lin Feng felt extremely honored. She was still smiling and said, "You have to understand that this is a once-in-a-life opportunity. This usually never happens in the Na Lan clan. You really are lucky." Actually, Na Lan Feng's proposition was really attractive to ordinary people. Many ordinary cultivators would have dreamt of being offered such an opportunity. Besides, she, herself, was really attractive and her smile was terribly sexy. However, this was not a tournament for normal people, which showed just how arrogant she actually was. That would be a dream if it happened to me. Even if I had that dream, I would be smiling even after waking up. The Princess Na Lan, personally. Many people in the crowd envied Lin Feng so much and were looking on with envious eyes. He was really incredibly lucky. Could the audience, which was filled with ordinary people, really be the judge? Did Lin Feng even need Na Lan Feng's help to practice cultivation? It was like she was offering him coal and saying it was a diamond. Should I feel extremely flattered? Asked Lin Feng in a joking and teasing tone. Because of Lin Feng's mask, Na Lan Feng was unable to see his facial expression. However, the tone of his voice had changed in comparison with before. "Why wouldn't you feel that way?" asked Na Lan Feng, now feeling indifferent with a smaller smile on her face than before. Lin Feng remained silent for a moment. She was as arrogant and conceited as before. She was the best in the world when it came to arrogance. "Na Lan Feng, I would have never thought that you were truly so incredibly stupid. I really don't understand what help or advice someone as stupid as you can give me on the path of cultivation." At that moment, laughter sounded from within the crowd. Then, a figure shot through the crowd. It flew like a legendary bird and immediately landed on the main stage. This person looked extremely arrogant. It was a young man who looked incredibly majestic and unreachable. His face was very thin. He radiated arrogance from head to toe. "Bai Yuan Hao," Na Lan Feng said while looking surprised. She narrowed her eyes as she hadn't expected him to come. "Indeed," said the young man while looking at Na Lan Feng. He was looking at her with a smile on his face. "Na Lan Feng, in the Imperial City, you are an ordinary person, nothing more. I would have never thought that you called yourself a princess in Yangzhou City. You are so arrogant and top of that seem to be so incredibly satisfied with yourself. You're such a cheap maid. Shut the hell up," Na Lan Feng shouted extremely aggressively in an ice-cold tone. "Are you getting angry because I called you a cheap maid? So it must be true that you're convinced that you are a real princess." That young man didn't even give her a glance and continued to grin. "Well, you're just a worthless dog as well, nothing more," said Na Lan Feng in a cold tone, trying to humiliate him. "By telling me this, are you admitting the fact that you're a cheap maid?" said the young man while laughing, making Na Lan Feng's go rigid with anger. She didn't look beautiful at all at that moment. "Shut up," shouted Na Lan Feng, flying into a rage out of humiliation. When they heard that conversation, the crowd was quite confused. The Yangzhou City's princess, who was so popular and whose reputation was amazing, was being called a cheap maid by a random person. That young man who had just come out was obviously a nobody talking nonsense. "How audacious, you actually dared to come to the tournament, which is organized by my clan, the Na Lan clan, and conduct yourself in such a disrespectful way. You really want to die," said Na Lan Xian while staring at that young man furious. "Shut up, you scum," said the young man while turning around. He then looked at Na Lan Shang looking furious and said, "You are the head of the Na Lan clan, nothing more, and you dare boast shamelessly. Let me tell you, if I wish, I can make your entire clan disappear like fire under water." Na Lan Shang was so furious and enraged that he was going insane. He wouldn't have thought that that man would be so insolent. The crowd was extremely confused and didn't understand anything that had happened. They were wondering who that young man who had just appeared really was. He seemed to be even more arrogant than Na Lan Feng or Lin Qian. He even dared to threaten the head of the Na Lan clan and insult him. Alright, I, Na Lan Shang, would like to see how you intend to make my clan, the Na Lan clan, disappear," said Na Lan Shang, who was smiling and no longer looked furious. It was the first time in Yangzhou City that someone dared talk to him that way. That guy was boundlessly wild and arrogant. "Father, can you let me, your daughter, solve that problem myself?" Na Lan Feng had suddenly asked her father that question, which left Na Lan Shang stunned. He was at that moment shaking in fear. Na Lan Feng meant that. "Bai Yuan Hao, why are you not in the Imperial City and why did you come to Yangzhou City?" "I came to ask for the repayment of a debt," said Bai Yuan Hao while smiling. Immediately after, he looked at Lin Feng and said, "Alright, you, come down." Lin Feng frowned. Bai Yuan Hao was ordering him to come down as if he was Lin Feng's superior. Lin Feng looked at Bai Yuan Hao and didn't move. Bai Yuan Hao frowned and said in an ice-cold tone, "Get the hell down now, come down off that stage immediately." End of chapter 49. Hope you guys enjoy the chapter. Please consider subscribing and hit that bell button for future updates.